Welcome into the Game 7 show. It is Monday, August 20th. Am I right on that? It's August 20th?
It is August 20th.
Every day we got to ask what day it is because we never know what day it is.
It's not
anymore.
Monday. It's not Monday, August 20th. It's Tuesday, August 20th. Oh, come on.
All right, do we have to
Come
start that
on,
over,
man.
bro?
No. We'll just go with it. Just go with it. Come on, man. Come on.
You do something for 30 weeks. You think that it's like ingrained in my head. Like Tuesday, August 20th.
It is Tuesday, August 20th. We are coming to you live.
And it's not 2 o'clock either.
It's 12. Right now, it's 12:50. It's 12:50 right now.
Not a boy.
Wow. We are 30 weeks into this podcast, and we finally got a new time.
And we decided to just switch it up.
Yeah, 30 weeks. Can you believe we've been doing this podcast for 30 weeks? If you've been listening for 30 weeks,
dang,
I don't know how you've done it.
Every single week. It's been 30 weeks.
30 weeks.
How many weeks are in a year? 52?
52, so
We're over a year?
yeah. Maybe we should do something big for our
1 year?
for our 1 year, or 50. Should we do 50 or 52? Does it matter?
Well, you can't just get like the 50 weeks and be like, we're not going to do the next 2 weeks to fill the year.
Okay. Well, 50 is just such a big number, you know? Like it's
But
50.
yeah, but if you get all the way to 50, you might as well go to 52.
Okay, so we'll have to do something big for our 52nd episode.
That's like saying we're going to 100 episodes and they're like, nah, we got to do something for our 98th episode. Like, that doesn't make sense.
No, it's different. Because, so 52 is our year anniversary, right? But 50 is like a milestone number, you know? Like you have your 10, your 20, 25, 50.
I mean, I get you on that point, but you just have to go to 52. How about this? We do a 50 and a 52 celebration episode.
Okay, there you go.
Super Bowl 52 winners. No, I'm just kidding.
Thank you, Met Radio, for hosting us for the last 30 weeks. Or 30. This is the 30th week. Thank you, Met Radio, for hosting 30 episodes. Can you believe that? You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SoundCloud. Isn't that something? On 3 major platforms. You can subscribe. You'll get the notifications. You'll see right when we post at about 2 o'clock-ish every Tuesday from here on out. Not only that, you can follow us on social media. You can, what is it? Twitter is _Game7. You can follow Will at Will Satler. You can follow myself at Isaac_Bugarin. You can email us because we're going to make some hot takes. If you don't like our takes, you can email us, game7show@gmail.com, Facebook Game7 Show, and YouTube Game7 Show. Am I missing anything?
If you don't like our instrumentals, if you don't like this JB song, man,
then you can email us or tweet us and tell us that you don't like it or whatever.
And send us some better instrumentals because, you know.
Yeah, so we give you a new show every Tuesday. You can find us on mymetmedia.com. That is the student voice of MSU Denver. We are both college students here putting on a once a week show. Putting on a show once a week. Is that the right way to say it?
Are we doing our intro again, or?
I'm just introducing our...
I am a freshman at
We'll have to find the audio from our first episode and play that one day.
One day. Episode 50?
Episode 50? Play our intro to our first episode. That was rough. That was a rough intro.
You were scared, man. Episode. That's what it was.
I'm a freshman at Metro Denver, and I'm looking to take my skills to the next level. That's a direct quote from Will Satler.
It was rough. I can't even fight that one.
I don't remember what I said, but I don't think it sounded much better. Yeah.
I am Isaac Bugarin. I love dogs.
This sounds about right.
My mom. Love God.
What are we talking about today?
Las Cucarachas. Do you know what that stands for?
Cockroaches. I just learned that.
You did?
Yeah, just learned that. Like you told me it just the other day.
Cucarachas never say die, bro.
Cucarachas never die. We're also going to talk about the Broncos 49ers game that happened last night. Maybe touch on a little bit of other NFL news.
Yeah.
We're going to answer some fan questions. And also we're going to get into a little bit of fantasy football in today's episode of The Breakthrough. And then also tell you a little bit about today in sports history.
Are they fan questions or listener questions? Do we have fans? I don't think we have fans yet. I think we just have listeners.
Hey, speaking of fans, what if I was thinking about getting stickers for the podcast? You know, some stickers that they could like put on their laptop or a water bottle.
I thought you were going a totally different route. I thought you were going to ask, do you like the Phillips fan or do you like the box fans? I thought that's what you were going for.
No, I mean if you're a fan or you listen to the podcast, reach out to us. I mean, I'm seriously thinking about getting some stickers of the Game 7 podcast. And you could put it on your laptop.
Stick it on your laptop or something.
You know,
stick it on your iPad.
Let me know if you want one. You know, because I want one. And T-shirts. What if we made some T-shirts one day?
I would be wearing a T-shirt, but
I would
it wouldn't be
wear
a
a T-shirt.
polo. It wouldn't be a polo. I know we're big polo guys, but I mean,
You wouldn't get the Game 7 logo on your polo?
that would be sick.
That would be sweet.
I mean, even if there's, would you get a Nike logo on it too? Could we print on a Nike shirt? Is that legal?
I think so.
I don't know.
I think so.
I'll have to ask my lawyer.
We buy the Nike polo separate, and then we take it to get stitched. We used to do that for like youth baseball and stuff.
And you want to go to Cancun too?
I want to go on a couple vacations this year. Are we going to Arizona this year in March for spring training? We did last year.
Or instead of Arizona, did we go to Florida this year?
Oh, that would be a good one.
We got a long ways. We're not even to September yet in the regular season, and we're already talking about spring training.
Yeah.
I guess that's what happens when you're a Rockies fan, and you're like,
you got to look forward to next season.
you gotta look forward to next season, which is something I kind of want to talk about today. It's like, what is the next move? I mean, yes, they've won 3 out of 4, but they're still 24 games back in the West. So
and last place.
Yeah. So what is their next move? Because clearly they're not going to have another 2007 run. Even though the stats say they're very similar, they're not going to win 21 of 24 again.
Yeah. We'll get into that.
We'll get into it.
Today in sports history, well, first of all, 1973, one of the greatest Rockies of all time was born, Todd Helton, in Knoxville, Tennessee. So happy birthday to Todd Helton.
Controversial lately, but the Todd father is one of the greatest Rockies of all time. Top 5.
Oh, he's on the what am I thinking of, the Mount Rushmore of Rockies.
Who would you put on the Mount Rushmore of Rockies?
I feel like you got to put Todd Helton, Larry Walker, Nolan Arenado already.
Ubaldo Jimenez.
I wouldn't put him on the Mount Rushmore.
Can you put a pitcher on the Mount Rushmore? That's a great question.
Do we have a good pitcher that deserves to be on there?
Aaron Cook, Jeff Francis, Mike Hampton.
John Gray is the only one to have 10 wins in 4 consecutive years.
Jorge De La Rosa.
Yeah, exactly. Who spent a lot of time in Denver.
Brian Fuentes.
Jeff Francis.
Wade Davis.
Oh, God, now you're getting out of control. 1974, Nolan Ryan had a pitch at 100.4 miles per hour, which is crazy to think because these days it seems like everybody's throwing over 100 miles per hour. Like, that is the norm.
Yeah.
And in 1974, Nolan Ryan, when he pitched 100.4, the earth kind of blew up.
It was history.
It was history, yeah. Nobody did that, in 1974.
Did they even have radar guns back then?
The pocket radars?
Oh.
No, they brought out the big radar
iPhone?
gun that they had to put on your shoulder, and you shot through the fence. You can't. For those of you guys that are only listening, you couldn't see me do the action of putting it.
Well, they can't really see you anyway, since you're like half off the screen when you do that.
Oh, am I?
You're like out of the screen.
Oh, I don't even know. Am I in the screen now?
No, you're out now.
Oh, am I in?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm in. All right.
That's the commentary you guys listen for.
In 1991, Dan Marino surpassed Joe Montana as the highest-paid NFL player with a 5-year extension for $25 million. Can you imagine that? $5 million a year?
Remember, Dak Prescott turned down $30 million.
Today, or last week, just turned down $30 million. And in 1991, Dan Marino was the highest-paid NFL player for $25 million.
To stay on the Mount Rushmore conversation, is on the Mount Rushmore quarterbacks in the NFL.
Indeed.
So,
in 2000, at the PGA Championship men's golf in Valhalla golf course, I don't know how to pronounce it, but either way, Tiger Woods becomes the first since Ben Hogan, who did it in 1953, to win 3 majors in a calendar year. He wins back-to-back PGA titles in a 3-hole playoff with Bob May. Crazy. In 2000, that's young Tiger Woods that did that.
That was when I was born.
Indeed, you're right. In 2004, American swimmer Michael Phelps wraps up the 100-200 meter butterfly double at the Athens Olympics when he wins the 100 meter, 51.25 seconds, ahead of teammate Ian Croker. I don't know that guy.
That was like his breaking out year, right? 2004, he really broke out.
In Athens, yeah.
And then 2008, he had that historic time and all that stuff. So.
And he's a great swimmer, man. Breathes in water, lives in water, basically.
He's had a controversial couple years too.
Yeah.
But.
In 2008, Usain Bolt of Jamaica wraps up the 100-200 double in style with a new 200-meter world record, 19.30 seconds at the Beijing Olympics.
So we're about a year away from the next Summer Olympics, right? So this would be going on next year for episode 100.
Wow, you're right.
We're going to be there.
Let's go to the Olympics.
Where's the Olympics? Isn't it in like Seoul this year, or is that the Winter Olympics?
I don't know.
That's a good question. I mean,
But today in sports history, there you go. Todd Helton, Nolan Ryan, Dan Marino, a little bit of Tiger Woods, Michael Phelps, and Usain Bolt, all making history on this day years ago.
Yeah, it was a great day. I mean, August 20th is a great day.
Every day is a great day in sports.
Tokyo.
Oh, the Summer Olympics are in Tokyo. Oh, I should have known that. Did you see the new logo?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's like, okay, so they take all the rings, right? And then it's 2020, right? They make a 2, and then they use the second ring as a 0, and then they make a 2 out of the second circle, and then the 0 for the 2020, and then they use the red circle at the top for they painted in red for Japan's national flag.
I mean, that's
which is red. They had the red dot, and
Yeah, but that's cool. But like, we've never done that in how many years of Olympics? So why?
It's never been possible.
Because of Japan? Is that what you mean? Or
I mean, I like the logo.
I love the logo. I think it's awesome.
It's so cool.
And it's creative and all that. But
hey, do you know what the 5 circles stand for?
I've learned this before. It's like McDonald's or something.
No, I'll let you keep guessing.
No, I'm not gonna guess. Oh, I'll keep guessing so you can look it up and tell everybody.
I know what it is, but I want to double check it before I want to check what the actual.
Well, if you want me to fill time here, I mean, 2022 is in Beijing.
Okay, so the Olympic flag has 5 interlaced rings in the center: blue, yellow, black, green, and red. It represents the 5 continents of the world united by Olympism.
Deep. That's what's up.
So I was hoping I could tell you what color represented each continent, but I don't know.
Continent? I don't think that's how it works.
Yeah, there's 5 rings for 5 continents that are all come together to play.
But it's not like the American flag where like the red stands for bravery and white is for peace.
No. Like I think each.
I don't quote me on that.
Each ring has a specific color for a specific continent.
I mean, I could see it. I've never been a huge fan of the Olympics. I respect all the athletes that are world class, but it's hard to get into sometimes, especially in years past where the USA has dominated, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, it's hard to get into when they're so dominant, and it's like, why do I want to watch the USA dominate the rest of the world?
USA.
I miss the times where, like, the Miracle on Ice, USA beating Russia. Like,
it wasn't Russia, it was the Soviet Union.
You are correct.
It wasn't Russia.
I can't argue with you on that
one. But yeah, wow, Olympics.
We'll get into the Olympics real soon, man.
We should.
Well, we got the World Baseball Classic before then.
No.
2020?
Oh yeah. No, 2021.
March.
I think it's 2021.
Well, it was 2 years ago. It was 2016 was the last year.
So March. Oh, so World Baseball Classic's in March, and then the Olympics are in the summer.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. Interesting. But there's baseball in the Olympics, right?
It'll be the first time
in a long time.
And it'll probably be the first time in a long time there will not be esports in the Olympics.
Let's talk about the Rockies.
Just to make it clear, you are correct. It is 2021, so it'll be not next year, but the year after.
Okay. So we have the Summer Olympics in May of 2020, and then World Baseball Classic in March of 2021. 2020
is going to be a big year. You get the Michael Jordan documentary from ESPN.
that they announced on Christmas Day of 2018. They said, hey, we have a Michael Jordan document coming in 2020.
It's like they hadn't even started it.
Yeah, it was like, here's a tease.
I mean, like, we could be like, yeah, our next show is going to be in August 29th, August 27th.
Hey, be on the lookout for a show on July 4th of next summer.
July 4th, 2020, we're going to be live from Met Radio. Let's talk Rockies, man.
Rockies, okay. They've won 4 of the last 5, which is a good thing, Who cares? We always talk Rockies, but they've won 4 of the last 5, which,
cool.
Should we be excited?
NL West participants.
For the last, 29 years? 27 years?
Something like that.
Oh.
That's all.
Gosh,
that's
man, these Rockies just fire me up.
It's because you spend so much money, and then I just don't.
Yeah, and then
they don't spend money, or they spend money but on the right people, like Brian Shaw.
Speaking of Brian Shaw, he has 56 appearances this year, right? If he gets 4 more appearances, his contract automatically renews, not for 2020, but for 2021. So
do they pitch him?
Do you pitch him? Do you throw these last 4? Do you throw him for 4 more games in what, August 20th? You have a month and a half that you have to stretch him out to only use 3 times.
I mean, he's been the most consistent pitcher in that bullpen, no? Wade Davis and Jake McGee are absolutely horrible at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't remember the last time they had an outing and they didn't give up a run.
But so look at this. So if we pitch him 4 more times in a year, that doesn't matter. We have to deal with Brian Shaw, not only for 2020 next year, but for 2021, we have to deal with him.
I mean, he's been the most consistent bullpen pitcher this year.
Okay, so we're gonna have a consistent bullpen pitcher this year, but we're gonna have to deal with him in 2021.
Who's to say he won't be consistent in 2021?
Oh, come on, a 40-year-old Brian Shaw, he's got to be into his 40s by then, or if not late 30s.
He still throws really dang hard. I have a hard, like, he looks like he's 40. But there's no way. This guy's
he's only going to be 33 by then.
Wow, he was way off.
Either way, he's an old reliever, and he doesn't have the same stuff
with a cutter. And he's got good off speed.
Okay, so in 2 years when he's throwing like Jake McGee or Wade Davis?
Jake McGee is definitely younger.
No, but he's throwing similar numbers because he's going to be that bad. He's not that good right now. He's only going to get worse.
He's consistent right now. Like I said, he's been the most consistent pitcher for them.
I don't want to deal with another 2 years of Wade Davis or of Brian Shaw.
Well, me neither. I don't want
to deal with another year of
Wade Davis should have been traded at the deadline.
Nobody wants a closer that can't finish out a game.
He's not even a closer anymore.
Nobody wants a six inning specialist.
But isn't it crazy how Bud Black has been trying to get Scott Oberg into that closing role, and he's moved Wade Davis out of it feels like 4 or 5 times this year already.
Yep.
And somehow Wade Davis keeps finding his way back to the 9th inning.
Ridiculous.
It's just the way that baseball works, and it's just crazy to think. But 2 more games in Arizona. They lost last night after Chichi Gonzalez held a no-hitter through, I think it was five innings. They had a no-hitter.
He had a great outing. Had a great outing
for 5 innings until he gave up 3 runs. Not Starling Marte, but Ketel Marte goes deep.
But then we come in and we tie the game in the bottom of the 8th or the top of the 8th, correct? And then we give it right back to him. We give it right back to him. That's the story of the year, the bullpen. It's the story of the Rockies franchise almost, is pitching and the bullpen.
The last couple of years we've been able to really forget about
since
it.
1993.
But the last couple of years we've been able to kind of forget about it. But it's been consistently the problem for this franchise. Not only pitching, but and I liked what Bud Black said yesterday is that during the offseason he's going to have a talk with MLB about what's going on with these juice balls and how it's affecting a team that plays in one of the most offensive-friendly ballparks in all of baseball of all time. So, yes, it's worked out good for a team that plays in a very good ballpark in New York, but I don't think the Rockies were ready for this. I don't know what team in baseball was ready for the balls to be juiced.
I mean, we put up 28 runs in 4 games against the Marlins.
But again, the same point is to be made. If the balls aren't juiced and it's just another regular season, is this team still any good?
No, this team is not any good. That's why we're sitting in last place in the West.
Yeah. It's just interesting to think about. Like, this is going to be a big offseason for baseball. And it wasn't going to be a big offseason because of the free agents really was last year. Mike Trout is Mike Trout, the face of the league. Cody Bellinger will probably be pretty inspirational or the face of MLB this next offseason. But they really are going to have a come to realization here that what's going on with the baseball. It's clear that something has changed. There's no way, unless they've stopped drug testing and started feeding their players steroids,
Yeah, I mean, because I got both of those balls that I got from Washington, one in Washington, D.C. and one in Arizona, right? So 2 totally different places on the map. Totally different places, right? And the 2 baseballs actually feel different. Both Major League Baseballs, both of them from Major League players, and they both they feel different.
I mean, I think it's hard it's not like they're perfecting every baseball and they should all be exactly the same.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I get your argument, right?
Yeah.
How does that make it fair,
yeah.
right? So that's not a good argument to say, well, they don't make every 2 baseballs the same. But clearly there's something going on with it, and they just haven't released it. And I think that's really what baseball wants. I mean, this influx of offense hasn't necessarily been bad for the league, but the transparency or the lack thereof is really what has changed.
Yeah.
Exactly. And really is not necessarily offending fans, but the players. And that's exactly what you don't want to do with a league. really, to think about it, of the 4 major sports, the NBA with Adam Silver is really the only well-run league. I mean, yeah.
Is hockey bad?
Gary Bettman has not been good. That's what I'll say. They've made a lot of strides these last few years in making changes to players' health, because that was their biggest scare.
Exactly.
Marketing in the league has been something, and they're definitely on the upcoming, and I would 100% put them in the second best run league, but they're still worlds away from what Adam Silver's doing. And I think the NFL has made a jump over the MLB, especially with this new Jay-Z partnership in Rock Nation.
Well, that's a whole other thing, is because players don't like that Jay-Z did this. Did you see the article from he might be a former San Francisco 49er, but he was a teammate of Colin Kaepernick.
Eric Reed.
Oh yeah, Eric Reed, and he basically said that Jay-Z betrayed them.
I mean, I get that, but at the same time, there's no. What does the other side want? Like, this is me coming from.
Jay-Z has the goal of bringing these problems to light. So right. I think there was just a misunderstanding between some of the players and what Jay-Z's goal was, because they see it as Jay-Z's teaming up with the NFL, but Jay-Z see it as I'm teaming up with the NFL to get this message out.
Bring us together. Like, and that's the thing. Like, Eric Reed, Colin Kaepernick, they've been oppressed for so long. They've dealt with so much shit that, like, I get why that's their first reaction, right?
Yeah.
But Jay-Z, I feel like, is doing the right thing here and trying to bring the two sides together and find what needs to happen.
Yeah. Okay. So, but going back to baseball, how can that correlate to juice baseballs? Is there a solution that the Major League Baseball could basically bring to light to say, hey, we're not juicing the balls, but here's the facts.
Well,
offense is so high, so we feel like we're not juicing the baseballs, but we feel like there's a possibility of something going on. Like, they have to say something like that to protect the pitchers, because at this point, who wants to pitch in baseball right now?
Well, Clayton Kershaw, Max Scherzer, and like those guys.
Max Scherzer has had a good year, but not a Max Scherzer year where he's got an ERA under 2.
At this point, they cannot come out and say the balls have been juiced for a year and a half. They can't do that. That'll ruin the transparency of the MLB, as bad as it already is. I mean, they can come out and say we've made more change. They're going to have to make another change.
And not tell anybody?
No, they're going to have to come out and be like, we've changed the ball to make it less powerful or something. And they're going to make a small change that doesn't change anything. But they can't come out and be like, yeah, so we've been messing with the balls the last 2 years. Didn't feel like telling anybody. We've tightened the laces, and now it flies farther.
At the end of the day, offense creates fans.
Correct.
Offense creates fans. Nobody wants to go to a game and see a 1-0 shutout where it flies by in 2.5 hours.
Right, and I don't think anybody's arguing that. I think the argument here is that...
But I don't think anybody wants to sit at a baseball game for 4.5 hours and watch an 11-10 baseball game,
Yeah, and finding that middle ground is probably what the MLB needs to do. But I just don't see them coming out and being like, the balls are juiced. How? You've waited too long. Maybe 2 years ago, when it first happened, we've made a small change. Is there, like, and if there was public knowledge of this already happening, wouldn't it have already came out?
Yeah, I mean,
you'd think Ken Rosenthal would dig into the files and be like, yo, they changed the leather that the baseball's made out of in 2018. They didn't tell anybody, but
that's something that I feel like players could know. Players could see that, could feel the difference.
Right, and if they knew that, they would have told people by now.
They are telling people right now.
They're saying the ball is juiced, but they don't know why.
Juiced, but they don't know. Yeah, exactly. They don't know how.
So there's no transparency from the league.
Well, if you could take a baseball, you tighten the laces just a little bit much, not enough to make a big difference into how the ball feels, but you tighten the lace just enough, and I think that ball is a little bit harder to throw, and it's a little bit easier to hit, because that ball doesn't get as much cut on it. That's why the laces are so lower. The laces on a baseball do matter. Right, if the laces are raised, you like a youth baseball, you could throw some dirty changeups and some dirty curveballs, right? But the smaller and tighter the laces are, it's harder to get that rotation on a ball. Let alone at Coors Field in altitude, where the ball doesn't cut at all. Now you got these laces that are really small. The ball's not cutting at all. All your pitches are flat. Of course, you're going to have high offense in Coors Field.
Here's why we shouldn't overreact to this, overthink this. The MLB has been through the ups and downs, right? The late 90s through the 90s, the ball wasn't juiced, but the players were, right? And we were hitting home runs like we've never seen before, all this different stuff. And then we went through a decade where pitching ruled, right? We saw some of the greatest pitching talent we've ever seen come through, and now we're back to hitting. So I think that they'll find that happy I don't think they'll ever find that happy medium, but I think that things will come back to earth. And whether or not the MLB is transparent, I think that's the biggest key here. This is the biggest takeaway. The MLB has not been transparent of what they're doing behind closed doors with their players. I don't care if they tell me. I care that their players know, and if their players are reacting that they don't know.
If they tell a player, they're going to tell the media. There's no way that you can keep a secret like that away from the media.
And I don't know if that's necessarily a secret that they want to keep, but it's more that the publicity is going to be correct if it comes from a player standpoint than the league putting out a statement. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a weird situation.
Well, looking forward for the Rockies. We have 2 more games in Arizona, 4 in St. Louis, and then we have a 7-game homestand, 1 against Atlanta, which is a makeup game from April. And we got 2 against the defending champion Red Sox. Chris Sale will not be here, and 4 against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Chris Sale, it was announced, was it today, that he will not need Tommy John surgery, but will miss significant time.
He's not going to play again the rest of the year. He wasn't going to play through October anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're done for in a very, very stacked AL.
Yeah.
But
did you see that Ronald Acuna Jr. got benched for not hustling against the Dodgers? He hit a ball off the wall, kind of did a little home run trot for the first 60 feet down the first baseline, and then the ball hit the wall, and it could have been an easy double, possibly a stand-up triple for him.
Yeah, I get let the kids play, but I think this situation was handled perfectly by all the sides involved.
100%.
Brian Snitker was very transparent. Again, transparency is what we're talking about. He pulled him off to the side after, said, hey, you don't do that here. This isn't what we're doing. It's more about the team than yourself. And Acuna understood that and was very transparent and was like, hey, I get you, coach. I respect your decision. I'm going to take it the right way.
He took him into the tunnel, and he basically gave him the understanding of, we run balls out off the wall, and because of that, you turned what could have been an RBI double into a single and no RBI, because he thought it was gone by a mile, and it bounced off the wall, which is kind of embarrassing. It's
super embarrassing. Yeah.
At the youth level, I always tell the kids that I coach, you run every ball out. You hit a pop fly to the catcher, you're running it out.
Yep. Even if you hit a line drive to the third baseman and he catches it before you even get out of the box, you're running it to first base
all the way out. If you get hit by a pitch, you're running it out. You run everything out. You hustle because you never know who's watching.
Well, and that's just respect for the game. With all the unwritten rules and the new energy that they want from the game, you still have to have that respect for the game. And I think
exactly.
that comes with every sport, right? In football and basketball, all those sports.
I feel like respect in general. Another thing that I try to tell the kids that I coach, or at least I'm kind of implementing it into them right now, is when you're on the baseball field and your coach is talking to you, you take your hat off and you listen to them, right? You take your hat off and you get on knee, and your eyes are always on your coach, right? You always it's just respect that you take your hat off. And I gave him the example of one day if you have your employer, you're gonna walk into his office and you're gonna look him in the eye and you're gonna shake his hand, And one day if you have to meet your girlfriend's dad or whatever,
right?
If you have a hat on, you're gonna take your hat off before you walk into, or as you walk into the house, or as you walk through the door.
Yep.
And then you take your hat off to shake his hand. I try to tell them that, and they're 11 years old. They don't really understand.
They don't get it yet, but in retrospect, like, we both had amazing youth coaches, right? We had people that were role models for our entire life.
Exactly.
But I mean, and I think that we're pretty respectful when it comes to that stuff, especially compared to some of the people in our generation. No shade being thrown, but I just think, like, all those skills, and, like, I don't know, this is probably bounces back for you at Pepsi Center, but for me at work, like, people tell me all the time, they're like, you're so far ahead of everybody else. You're amazing in this aspect or whatever. And I'm like, this is just, like, regular to me.
Yeah.
This is something that was ingrained to me. Like, you shake hands. And even for me now with, like, interviewing, because I'm looking for candidates all the time to work on my team, it's like, you don't do this and you don't do this. Like that was something you had to do. It wasn't like if you do this, it's sugar on the cake. Like this is an expectation.
Yeah, exactly.
And in full retrospect again here is like when we become parents, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna instill that in our kids, and that's just the cycle that it is, and we're amazingly blessed for that for sure.
So and to kind of tie it all back to Ronald Acuna, you know, that's where we say you hustle everything out. You know, that's where you say you don't take for granted your ball that you just hit off the wall. You don't take for granted that ball that you just hit 20 feet over the fence. At the end of the day, you got to hustle everything out. You're getting paid millions of dollars to play baseball, hundreds of thousands of dollars every single day. I can't say hundreds of thousands of dollars every single day, but you're getting paid thousands of dollars to play a baseball game. You know, hustle it out. And that's where Atlanta Braves manager took him down into the tunnel and said, hey, you run everything out. This is the big leagues. You don't get to just jog out a single off the wall. So
it's not
against the Dodgers at that.
It's not make your kids play sports, but you should encourage them to play sports.
Yep.
Because they gain so many great skills, and I get you can gain so many great skills from other things that kids can do. I'm not too aware of it because sports was my life.
Yep.
Still is my life, but I mean, it's made me a better person. So that's our soapbox for the day.
Yep.
Let's slide over to Broncos football. Last night.
Drew just announced 2 minutes ago, Drew Lock's preseason is over. The Broncos quarterback was diagnosed with a bad sprain on his throwing hand and will be out for some time. Ian Rappaport.
What about your dude Noah Fant? Is he still out with a foot injury?
He's okay. He'll be okay. He's probably gonna miss the rest of preseason also, but he'll be okay.
That's tough, man. You're two rookies that you really were looking to see, other than Dalton Risner.
Well, let's talk about the game. How did it get to that point? Broncos lose 24-15 against the 49ers. Right? Jimmy Garoppolo got picked by Isaac Yiadom on his second throw of the game. Shout out to Bradley Chubb, applying the pressure on the side right there, which was really good to see. Joe Flacco 7 for 11, 59 yards. Drew Lock 7 for 12 for 40 yards. Phillip Lindsay, a little disappointing, 5 rushes and 14 yards. He had the most carries out of all the other backs. All the other backs had 1 or 2 carries at most. He got 5, and he got 14 yards.
So
take it as you want it.
Take it as you want it. Very, very true story here. I mean, it's a preseason game. The score doesn't bother me because
the first half was great. The first half of the football game was great.
Exactly. That's what I mean. So that score doesn't bother me, especially when they scored all 24 of their points, the 49ers, in the second half. So that doesn't bother me. That makes me really excited to see what this defense is doing. And like you said, Bradley Chubb performing. I don't think Von Miller played last night, which is even better to see. He didn't have that other edge rusher. Joe Flacco looking okay, 7 for 11. Drew Lock, that's much better to see, 7 for 12 than what he did
There's one
before.
drive that I want to point out from Drew Lock. It was his last drive of the first half. Basically a two-minute drill that he got a field goal out of. Granted, he got a couple calls, a couple pass interference, a couple holdings, and what was the last one? Defensive, I think he got the 49ers to get a neutral zone infraction. He got them to jump off sides, which is really good for a rookie quarterback to see in a 2-minute drill to say, hey, just go score a field goal in the last 2 minutes. You know, drive us down the field, drive us down 40, 50 yards, and get us in field goal range. And I think Brandon McManus hit a 52 or 53-yard field goal? 51?
It's good to see him locked in early.
Yeah, it was really good to see Brandon McManus hit a 52 plus had room to spare on the end of it. So, again, thin mile high air. But really good to see that Drew Lock was able to compete in a 2-minute drill.
It's really hard to take anything away from the NFL preseason, and the problem with that is you can't. There's no preseason takeaways, right?
No, I'd say there's takeaways. You know, like from this game, takeaways would be Emmanuel Sanders is finally back from his Achilles rupture, right? He looked really good. The defensive line looked really very, very good for the Broncos last night.
Yeah.
Special teams, punt returners are god awful. You know, that's what we learned. At least over the last 3 weeks, we've learned, or 2 weeks, that we've learned that special teams is rough this year.
Right. Well, and here's where I get like the takeaways part. You make good takeaways, but who is that Broncos defensive line facing? Right. Yes, they did get some of the ones, but they didn't get them at 100%. Jimmy Garoppolo hadn't played a game in over a year.
He's Jimmy. At the end of the day, you come out to compete, right? Just like you said last week, Antonio Brown.
Right.
You come into a game and you're gonna compete. You're gonna give it your best because you're in the NFL. That's what got you there, and that's what you know how to do.
True story.
And the fact
And
that
these
the
guys are
Broncos,
competing.
the defensive line has been able to dominate.
Yes, but and that's the takeaway part. Who have they been playing against?
The ones and twos.
The ones and twos, right? It's not all ones. It's not this team. And for special teams, that's why it looks even more scary, right? Who have they been playing, or vice versa? Who has been on special teams? Are they players that are trying to make the team, or are they players that will actually play come September?
They don't know. All these players could play come September because they've all looked that bad. Tim McMahon, the Broncos special teams coach, said somebody has to produce and separate themselves. And he's regarding when it comes to the punt returner position, right? Nobody's done that yet. In the Broncos, 4 returns yesterday, we gained 12 yards. 4 returns, and we gained 12 yards. The longest return was River Craycraft? Okay, I was going to say, I think I totally butchered that. 7 yards. He had 7 yards out of that 12. Nick Williams muffed a punt, and Calvin McKnight didn't have any yards in his return. And then Devontae Johnson got blown up by the 49ers punter. I know you guys saw that one.
Oh, yeah. I said he's
it,
getting cut as soon as that happened.
He catches, takes like 2 steps, boom, gets blown up by the punter.
Yeah, that's embarrassing. I mean, punters are athletes, man, but...
Pat McAfee, man. That's what that reminded me of.
Yeah.
Special teams is just scary. Punt returning and special teams... I can't say it'll win you the game, but if you score on special teams, you win the game. Bottom line, you score on special teams, you win the game.
True. And here's the other thing that we bring into the question is, you said Emmanuel Sanders had a very great, it's a good comeback, right? I mean, you don't ever see people come back from Achilles injuries like he has. Yeah. But what happened on that amazing catch? There was a holding call.
On Garrett Bowles.
And what has been the biggest thing that the Broncos are dealing with right now? Penalties. So it's still there, and they're still working. We're in the right direction.
Speaking of Sanders, coming back from the Achilles rupture, made an impact pretty much right away. Caught a short pass from Joe Flacco. That was for 5 yards. And then a couple plays later, showed off his speed. He got an end around and took it for 19 yards. And then obviously you just talked about that 45-yard reception that got called back because of a holding penalty on Garrett Bowles. Ugh, that's another one. Broncos, as we just said, Broncos' defensive line looked pretty good. Chubb forced that interception. Shelby Adams had 2 tackles and blocked some good passes right up the middle. So that was really good to see Shelby Adams. Can you imagine Shelby Adams, Von Miller, Bradley Chubb, if they all play top-notch defense this year?
Don't forget about the dude with the long hair. Well, Derek Wolfe, yes, but who's the other dude that they signed last year from the Bengals? Do you know who I'm talking about?
I don't know who you're talking about.
Well, they have a really good offensive line or defensive line. That's what I'll say.
But at the end of the day, the defensive line can only be so good if the cornerbacks and secondary does their job.
Right. They need more time.
Yeah. If you give this defensive line 4 seconds, they're going to get a sack. You give them under 4 seconds, I think that's where it's like, oh, you got some pressure on them. But this secondary has to be no-fly zone part 2. Underrated no-fly zone. Because that's why the defense of Super Bowl 50 was so good for us, because our secondary was so good that it gave Von Miller and everybody, even if Von Miller was double-teamed, it gave them all the chance. It gave them 4.5 seconds, 5 seconds to get a sack. You know, that's why the defense was so good. It all starts with the secondary. If the secondary can hold the wide receivers and keep them covered, you know, take away his first and second, third look, now all of a sudden you're in there for 4 seconds.
Yeah.
You know, so that's where defense all starts. Injury bug. Noah Fant left with an ankle injury. X-rays came back negative, and he should be okay. Obviously, we just talked about Drew Lock. Injured his right hand in the third quarter. Lock thought it was just a jammed thumb, but obviously further evaluation today proved that he will miss the rest of preseason, but I guess he doesn't have to have surgery, so that's a good thing. So not like he's playing again this year anyways.
What do we think of Drew Lock? Let's slide into fan questions or our listener questions. What do we think of Drew Lock? Does he have the potential to be a starting quarterback in the NFL, or should the Broncos tank for Trevor Lawrence?
You don't draft Drew Lock in the second round with back-to-back picks if you don't think he can be the quarterback of the future. Because there's so many other guys you could have taken in the second round. You could have probably taken a star wide receiver. You probably could have taken a cornerback. Another one.
Yeah.
You know, you had a lot of options in the second round, but Drew Lock is a first-round talent that slid to the second round. So, obviously, John Elway likes him enough to say, hey, you're probably going to be the starting quarterback of this franchise in 2 or 3 years. You know, he has the potential. He is a cookie-cutter John Elway type quarterback. Big, tall, lengthy, and throws the ball deep. You know, that's all John Elway likes. You know?
If he can learn behind Joe Flacco, kind of like Favre and Rodgers. Rodgers is now up there in Brett Favre's tier.
Rodgers is a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, no, and you could definitely make that argument. But
he is a Hall of Famer. There's no arguing. He's a Hall of Famer.
How many Super Bowls has he won?
One. So you need one Super Bowl. As soon as you win a Super Bowl, you're in. Yeah. Super Bowl MVP, you're in. 100% you're in once you win a Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah, he's in. You make a good point. But is he in Favre's category?
Is Rodgers in Favre's category? I think Rodgers is probably more liked in Green Bay.
Really?
Brett Favre went to go play for the Jets and the Vikings. You don't go to your division rival.
I still think Brett Favre is like the face of Green Bay.
No. Charles Woodson is more of a face than Brett Favre at this point. You don't go play for Minnesota Vikings for a division rival. That's like saying Champ Bailey went to go play for the Raiders. You don't like the guy after that happens. But Drew Lock, anyways, he can air it out. He's got a very strong arm. He's a typical John Elway type quarterback. He has the potential to be a starting quarterback in this league for the Broncos.
Yeah, no,
but he has to learn. Because at Mizzou, he was taking every snap from the shotgun, and he had I believe they said he had like one play call. He said like red. It was like a color and it was like a color and a name or something. It was color and a name, and it was supposed to be some hot route. So pretty much all they did was look to the side. There was like 4 or 5 coaches standing there with clipboards above their heads. They know which one's the hot sign, but nobody else knows which one is the hot sign. So,
yeah, I get you, man. I get you.
He has to learn how to be an NFL quarterback. He has to learn all of the plays for every single position. That's the job as a quarterback. So,
why is Garrett Bowles getting so many penalties? How can the Broncos fix this?
Well, he was only called for 10 penalties in 2018, which is tied for 5th most among tackles, which is a lot. But 7 of those holding penalties, it still leaves him tied with Tyron Smith. Of those 7 holding penalties, 2 came in the loss of the Ravens and 2 came in the loss of the Chargers. So that means he was only called for holding 3 times in the other 14 games that he played in.
It just feels like every time there was a holding call, it was 72 and orange.
I think you say that because it was holding on big plays.
Right.
It was bad timing on these big plays.
Every time.
But three holding calls over the course of 14 games isn't necessarily too bad. And I get the Ravens and Chargers games are probably pretty close games at that point. So 2 holding penalties kind of stay in your head to say, hey, what could have happened on this 12-yard pass or 13-yard pass, 13-yard run, But I'd say he improved in the penalty department in the second year in the league. He's in his 3rd year. Still plenty of room for improvement. Yeah, he's under contract through the 2020 season, so I'd be surprised if he makes it to that point if he keeps it up though. Still fifth most penalties called on him is still a lot.
I was just gonna say it's really weird to argue a guy who has the 5th most penalties. Yeah, you didn't have that many, but you were still 5th worst.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I don't really like that argument. Switching over to the Rockies here. What are the priorities for the Rockies? Or what does the priority list look like for the Rockies right now for the offseason?
1, you need to dump a big contract. That means Wade Davis, Desmond, Charlie Blackmon. Can I say that without getting a lot of hate mail?
Is that what you got?
I wouldn't call it hate mail, but I had some interesting text messages that were like, "What?"
Interesting.
A couple of my family members that listen were like, "What?
Yeah.
You want to trade Charlie Blackmon?" I was like, "Hey, you got to listen."
They're gonna be the most straightforward with you.
Yeah, exactly.
I can only be so straightforward here without ragging and be like, that was the dumbest mistake you've ever made.
I still don't think
number 2.
That was pretty dumb of you to say that. But either way, you need to dump a Wade Davis, Ian Desmond, or Charlie Blackmon. But I don't see Charlie Blackmon as an outfielder next year. I mean, there's so many. Starling Marte could be a free agent this year. I mean, I guess we're going to get into that here in a bit. But Starling Marte could be your center fielder next year. You could move David Dahl to right field, where he's arguably the best fitting player, right? And then if Tapia is supposed to be some heir to the throne, then he'll be your left fielder. Or Desmond, for all I care.
Is Tapia even going to be a Rocky next year?
I hope not. But he's made a case. He's hit over like 320 since the All-Star break.
He's made 2 catches in 2 nights that have been top-tier plays.
Yeah. But
I mean, he's exciting to play.
But do you also see the plays where he I mean, we were in Washington. He tags up, and there's or he doesn't tag up. We had a fly ball to the outfield, and he doesn't tag up to get on second, and he just runs all the way home. Just doesn't tag up at all. He just runs, keeps on running, thinking the ball's in the gap. He has these bonehead plays. He's a
young player.
Oh, I can't say he's young anymore. He's in his, third year in Major League Baseball?
No, I get that.
That's not young.
I get that, but he's still a young player.
But
you don't see Ryan McMahon making these plays.
Exactly.
You don't see Garrett Hampson making those plays.
You don't see Garrett Hampson, Ryan McMahon. You don't see them making these mistakes.
Yeah.
So
that's why, it's been an interesting year for Tapia.
And then also, if Jonathan Doss is supposed to be some great center fielder also, Garrett Hampson is a center fielder too. Because where are you going to put Garrett Hampson at next year? Second base? Ryan McMahon's got that spot filled. You put Ryan McMahon at first base? No, you can't do that. Yonder Alonso is still sitting there right now. And you also got Daniel Murphy, who signed for $12 million.
I don't see that many changes coming to this team next year. I mean, the infield's going to stay exactly the same.
I think this team's going to partially blow up. I'm telling you, I don't see...
They don't have the money to do it.
I don't see Desmond. They have to find a way to trade Desmond or Blackman. Because at the end of the day, that is... Desmond's making, what, $12 million, $14 million? Blackman's making, what, $21 million? You know what you could do with $21 million? That's two relievers right there. Which you got to do this offseason anyways. You have to get two relievers because you can't have Wade Davis and Jake McGee blowing games.
Where are they going to get that pitching from? Is it free agency or is it from the farm system?
Free agency. Oh, we have pretty much no... We do not have anybody that can realistically say, we're going to call you up in September and you're going to be an immediate impact. You're going to throw 9 innings and give a 1 run. We have nobody in our farm system that can do that right now, at this moment.
But didn't you say nobody wants to come to Coors to pitch after seeing Matt Davis, Shaw, McGee?
So you got to overpay him, and that's where you don't have the money because you're paying Charlie Blackmon $19 million to hit 250 on the road. You're paying Ian Desmond to hit 086 until May, until the weather finally warms up. That's where all this money is in your offense that is almost non-existent at times. You hear me? You hear the controversy?
The whining in your voice.
The frustration? Is it frustration?
Yeah, but
you got to make the outfield better defensively. And Charlie
100%.
Blackmon is horrible defensively. But David Dahl's pretty good. Starling Marte, who could be a center fielder for the Rockies next year, is pretty good at defense.
It's crazy to say that the only sure thing in this outfield next year is David Dahl, and he's not even healthy.
And he's not even healthy. Is he a for sure thing?
I mean, he made an all-star team in his first semi-healthy year.
Semi-healthy?
Right.
But that's not for sure.
I'd rather have a semi-healthy all-star than no all-star. And Tapia.
And then the argument is Charlie Blackmon's made the all-star every year, shut up. So I'm sick of Charlie Blackmon at this point. I'm sick of Charlie Blackmon.
Okay.
He is god-awful defensively.
Every time you say that, he goes on a Player of the Week stretch.
Yeah. But offensively, because he's probably playing at Coors Field. because he's hitting 450 at Coors Field. That's why he's Player of the Week. But you go on the road, I guarantee you, we're gonna play in Philadelphia, and he's gonna go 0 for 4 in at least 2 of these games. In Philadelphia, I guarantee you, he's gonna go. And Philadelphia's a hitter's ballpark. He's gonna go 0 for 4. I guarantee you, in 2 of these games. You can mark my words. He's gonna go 0 for 4.
You make an interesting point, man. You make an interesting point. You say Starling Marte, center field. Do you think it's realistic that they'll go out and sign someone like Marte? Is it realistic to think that the Pirates will even let him go?
Well, he's got 2 club options for the next 2 years. One's for $11.5 million. The other one is for $12.5 million for the next 2 years. But then he's a free agent if they don't pick him up. So he's probably going to demand likely $12 to $15 million is what I see. This year he's had a decent year. 291 batting average, 70 RBIs, 21 home runs, and 22 stolen bases. That's the 2020 club. I mean, for a center fielder, what more can you ask? Is David Dahl part of the 2020 club? Did he get 20 stolen bases?
I don't think so, but he can definitely do that.
Oh, yeah. He 100% can do that. He could do it in right field. Even better. Can Charlie Blackmon do that in right field and be solid defensively? No. Can Charlie Blackmon play left field? Can we restructure Charlie? If we restructured Charlie Blackmon's contract and put him in left field, which is the most realistic thing to happen.
Yeah.
then I wouldn't be happy. I wouldn't be dogging on him because left field's a hell of a lot easier to play than right field at Coors Field. Short throws to second, short throw to third, short throw to home. But right field, it's hard. If we restructure his contract and say, hey, instead of $19 million, how about we go to, I don't know, like $10 million? I mean, if he's,
I don't see that.
would he go to $12 million?
That's not gonna happen.
Would he want to win baseball games, or would he want to take $19 million?
Answer that question honestly. Not from your point of view, but from a
Major League Baseball point of view?
Major League Baseball point of view.
Oh, God, he wants his money. He doesn't care about how the Rockies do, if they win or not. I mean, I take that back. He probably does care about winning. I'm sure he does care about winning.
But his priority list is money over success.
Yeah. He wants to play in Coors Field.
Who
and get
doesn't?
paid $19 million to do it.
Yeah, who doesn't? Let's talk fantasy, man. Let's get into the breakthrough. Those were great questions. So send us more next week.
Game7show@gmail.com.
The keyword is Nike Polo this week. So send us a text on the tip line, game7show@gmail.com.
Oh.
Nike Polo.
Let's talk.
Nike?
Oh, you're wearing a Nike Polo. Oh, I didn't even see you were wearing a Nike Polo.
Yeah, dude, we're wearing some Nike
The mirror's
Polos.
kind of, or the glass right here that's in between in the studio kind of cuts off at the bottom. I couldn't see it. Oh, is that CU Buffs?
Let's go Buffs,
Let's go Buffs, man. Let's go Buffs. I got on.
I'm on anime.
I got a
territory.
U.S. women's national team soccer.
That's the second time he's worn that shirt on the show in the last 3 weeks.
No, it's not, is it?
Yeah, you didn't wear it last week, but you wore it the week before. Because I wanted to wear it last week.
Oh, I guess I got to change it up. I didn't know I wore it in the last 2 out of the last 3 weeks.
I got a shirt in my backpack. You want to change right now?
Yeah, let me just.
Like a Jamal Murray thing.
Let me just switch real quick. But fantasy teams, man, fantasy teams.
You should switch after what I'm looking at your fantasy team, bro.
I'm very happy with my fantasy team, so I don't know what you're talking about. I got 3 top 10 wide receivers.
What time did you draft a running back?
I didn't draft a running back until like the 4th round, 5th round. But because I took 3 top 10 wide receivers, I got Julio Jones, Devontae Adams, and Amari Cooper. I'm very happy with both of them, with all 3 of them. Devontae Adams supposed to be, he was like ranked number 4. Julio Jones was ranked number 6, I think, and Amari Cooper was 10, at least in ESPN. I'm happy. I'm very happy. Who else is Dak Prescott going to throw to?
I mean, I sure hope it's
They're
Michael
gonna get
Gallup.
Their touches. They're going to get their touches.
I mean, quarterback, you got Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Aaron Luck's on your bench, Andrew Luck is on your bench. So.
I drafted Aaron Rodgers, Andrew Luck, and Dak Prescott. I drafted Dak Prescott just because I needed a 3rd-string quarterback just in case he got hurt, and I wanted a solid one.
Maybe he has a contract year. He comes out and is like, I'm gonna play for the contract, and shows out.
You never know, man.
But I have Deshaun Watson, who is the 2nd-ranked quarterback on ESPN.com. I think that's a steal. He looks like he's projected to average 21 points a game, which is pretty good.
Well, the good thing about Deshaun Watson is that he could use his feet. He picks up points by running.
I mean, I'm pretty proud of that pick, knowing that the top quarterback went off the board with the 1st overall pick. So
yeah,
that's a pretty good pick for me, and especially after I took a player like Alvin Kamara at 3rd overall pick of the draft.
See, I was afraid to pick Alvin Kamara.
But my worry is, like, I think Saquon's going to have a good year, but after a rookie year where he put up these amazing stats, they're going to stack the blocks against him. They know it's coming, and we say it every time on the show, the sophomore slump is coming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure. So what about Patrick Mahomes?
That was his sophomore year.
But would you have taken Patrick Mahomes this year?
Yeah, if he came to me when it was time to draft a quarterback.
He went in the 3rd round.
Patrick Mahomes went 1st overall.
No, he didn't. He took Barkley first. Barkley went first. Saquon Barkley went 1st overall.
Christian McCaffrey, yeah.
Yeah, it was Barkley, McCaffrey, Kamara. Number 4 was it a wide receiver?
DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, there you go, DeAndre Hopkins.
Which is a good pick again.
And I don't know who went after that, and then I took Devontae Adams. Oh no, I took Julio Jones, I think, first.
I'm just saying, my two running backs, Kamara and James Conner with Pittsburgh, he's gonna have a big year, and I say that because there's no Antonio Brown there anymore. And there's no Le'Veon Bell there. It's really gonna be James Conner and Juju Smith.
Yeah.
So he's gonna get points. He's gonna get carries.
Well, that's James Washington, who's the wide receiver for Pitt. He's supposed to be their second option on the wide receivers. So that's why I drafted him. I got him. He's my last pick.
That's a good pick. And then wide receiver, my number 1 is Mike Evans. He just always seems to produce.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
That's a good pick. And then it really falls off. Calvin Ridley is my second wide receiver, which he's good. And then you have off the bench, you have Michael Gallup. He's good, but is he going to score your points? Cortland Sutton, he's good. Is he going to score your points? DK Metcalf, is he going to be anything?
Yeah, exactly. Who's your tight end?
My tight end is Hunter Henry.
You have anybody else? Or would you only draft one?
I only drafted one tight end, which was a really.
So you're gonna have to pick somebody.
Pick.
You're gonna have to pick somebody up for that bye week.
Right. Which is fine. I mean, tight ends aren't really gonna push the meter,
Yeah. I have Jared Cook from New Orleans, Vance McDonald from Pittsburgh, and Noah Fant. I'm hoping he can stay healthy. I know Joe Flacco hits his tight ends a lot. Noah Fant's just gonna come off the bench probably for whichever bye week Jared Cook has, which I believe is 9, but don't mark my words.
Who's in your flex position?
I'm probably gonna have Amari Cooper in my flex.
Right now I have a steal there. I have Leonard Fournette in the flex position.
I had him last year.
He's gonna have a good year. He's got a good quarterback now. Nick Foles is better than Blake Bortles.
Okay. I'm not afraid. I'm not near as afraid of. I'm not
it's not that you're scared of Nick Foles. It's that he's going to have more opportunities when he doesn't have a lackluster quarterback on his side.
Well, so I have Aaron Rodgers starting, Marlon Mack starting my running back, and then Devontae Adams, Julio Jones, Amari Cooper, Jared Cook, and then who's your defense real quick?
I have the Chargers.
You have the Chargers defense?
Sneaky good.
Do you have anybody else? Do you have anybody else's defense or just them?
Just them.
Wow, dude. Who'd you draft? All wide receivers or what?
I mean...
You got 7 wide receivers on that team?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
You got 6. You got 6 wide receivers on your team?
One of them wasn't me. It was auto drafted.
Okay.
I have 3 upside wide receivers though. Like they're gonna.
I got 3 top 10 wide receivers. I got 2 wide receiver positions and my flex build.
Well, and I think that's where the balance is, right? I have a pretty dang good running back core. You took wide receivers. That was your priority, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I fall off, right? Your running backs are kind of They're good, but
they'll give me 10. Marlon Mack will give me 15 points a game.
I don't think so. I think you can get 12 max.
I think Marlon Mack can give me 15. And as long as Devontae Adams, Julio Jones, and Amari Cooper give me 20 each, which they totally can. Well, Devontae Adams and Julio Jones have the potential to be hitting over 30 every game. Aaron Rodgers.
Maybe in a different league, but I don't.
Aaron Rodgers has the potential to hit also up to 20, 25.
Upside wise, I feel like I have a pretty steady team. Brett Maher.
Okay.
That was my kicker from Dallas, but he's gonna score a lot because Dak's gonna stumble in the red zone.
I took Harrison Butker from Kansas City because I figured they were gonna score a lot of points. They're gonna find a way to get into field goal position in Kansas City, and then when Kansas City comes to Denver, he's gonna kick like a 50.
I just feel like
4-yard field goal.
I mean, it's a safe pick taking any kicker that has to kick one game at Mile High Stadium.
Yeah, exactly.
But Patty Mahomes finishes in the red zone.
Exactly.
So that's less points.
I'll take 1 point over no points.
Right, but Dak Prescott is more of a guy. Who would you rather have in a situation? Not who would you rather have to score a touchdown, but who would you rather have in the red zone if it means that you're going to kick a field goal?
Oh, so who's the worst quarterback in the red zone?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Oh, Dak Prescott.
Exactly.
I guess.
So then, therefore, he's going to kick more close field goals than versus Harrison Butker because Patty Mahomes isn't going to get stumped there. If he's going to get stumped, he's going to get stumped at midfield or he's going to score. You know what I mean?
I guess. I'll take my 3 touchdowns and 3 points and take my 2 field goals that he kicks a game. As that's what 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'll take 9 points a game for my kicker.
Another steal here. Jimmy Garoppolo is my backup quarterback.
Oh man,
better than Andrew Luck.
Hey, Jimmy Garoppolo threw a pick on his second throw of preseason yesterday.
His first game back, man.
Speaking of defense, my defense is the Bears defense, and then I also have the New Orleans Saints defense. I had to take the Bears because they're the best defense in all of football right now. And then I took the Saints because they're close.
You think the Bears defense is still going to be the best in football after losing their defensive coordinator and their starting quarterbacks?
Defensive coordinator is not making all of the play calls. At the end of it's Khalil Mack. Are you gonna say no to Khalil Mack?
And who else?
He's gonna have 20 sacks this year.
And who else?
I couldn't tell you anybody else on that Bears
Exactly.
defense.
Well, you know where
They
all
were
their
tops last
quarterbacks
year.
went?
They were tops last year.
Correct. 'Cause
They can't be
had
that
Vic
bad?
Fangio.
I don't want to
I
hear
think
it.
that makes a huge difference not having that.
What is your expectation for your fantasy team? Do you expect to win this year? Realistically, do you think you're going to win?
Realistically, I think we're going to compete for the playoffs.
Realistically,
We're
I'm winning
1
this.
year away.
Oh my god! Now you
1
sound like
year
now
away.
you sound like the Broncos. I expect to win. I honestly, I feel really good. Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, Julio Jones, Amari Cooper, the Bears defense. I think they're gonna do me solid this year.
If you guys work for Met Media right now, turn the podcast off. To be honest with you, I think that we have far and better teams than anybody else on that list.
I knew what I was doing. You know, Aaron Jones won his fantasy team last year, so I know he's got a
He
solid
took
idea.
Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones took Aaron Jones with one of his last picks.
Look at his team, man. Like, I'm not hating on it.
I don't know.
Watch this, bro. I
I'm
played
excited
him
for this
week
year.
1. It's gonna be fun. I haven't done fantasy football in a while.
I'm excited for this year. I think I lost in the championship game, or I guess championship weeks last year for my fantasy team. So I feel like I got a solid understanding. I know how to make changes. I know how to adjust before anybody else does. I'm the kind that I'll stay up. If free agency opens for a week at 2 a.m., I'll stay up till 2 a.m. to make adjustments.
I mean,
I would stay up till 2 a.m. to make an adjustment.
I'm just gonna say this: in my years past, my 3 or 4 years playing fantasy football, I've never lost a league. I've lost games, obviously, but so we're playing with the greatest of all time right here. That's all I'm gonna say.
Huh.
Wrap us up.
Well, what did we learn today, Will? Tell me what we learned.
I don't know if I learned anything actually.
I learned that my fantasy team is pretty solid. At least I think. I learned today's Todd Houghton's birthday. The Rockies have a lot of changes that they need to make. The Broncos and Garrett Bowles. Garrett Bowles isn't as bad as we think. That's what I kind of learned today. What'd you learn?
I told you I didn't learn anything today. I just went to class and sat on my phone the whole time.
That's a bad day, man. It's a bad day. Thank you, Met Radio, for hosting us. As always, they let us have a new show pretty much every week, every Tuesday now. Every Tuesday, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SoundCloud.
That's nice to hear.
You can subscribe, get the notification. Usually these will be going up right at about 2 p.m., 2:15 p.m. Right now it is 1:50 p.m.
Oh, damn.
So I imagine this will be going up here pretty soon.
Nap time.
As always, hit us up with questions for the next podcast. Interact with us on social media. If you didn't like our takes from today, you can email us, Game7Show. You can see our Twitter at _Game7. You can follow Will at Will Satler. You can follow myself at Isaac _Bugarin. On Facebook, we are Game7 Show. You can throughout the week we're gonna post the full-length clips of our conversations. So we'll have like one clip will be us talking about today in sports history. Another clip's gonna be us talking about the Rockies. Another clip's gonna be about us and the Broncos. Another one's going to be about the fan questions, and then we'll wrap up with our last clip from the breakthrough in our fantasy teams.
He's just sharing his marketing strategy right there.
Marketing is important, man. Sports marketing. That's actually one of my classes I'm in.
Right, but you don't tell the whole world.
I tell them to be on the lookout.
Okay.
You got to be on the lookout.
That's part of marketing. You market the lookout.
I am marketing our show. I'm marketing to our fan base, to our listeners. Stickers. By the way, if you want a sticker, hit me up. At Isaac _Bugarin, at Will Satler.
Put it on your fridge.
Yeah, you can put it on your fridge.
Your beer fridge.
But you can put it on your car. You can put it on your laptop. You can put it on your water bottle. You can put it on a lot of places.
He said you could put it on your car.
It's a bumper sticker, man. You can put it right there.
You're gonna put it on your Prius?
No. Come on, man.
See, exactly.
Come on, man. Be better.
If you wouldn't do it.
Some people might. They might put it on their window. You know?
Who do you think listens to the show?
I know there's some parents of the baseball team that I coach. They listen to it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. My cousin. I got a couple cousins that listen to it. My grandpa listens to it. I did just see that we had a MSU Denver alumni followed us.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Rich Allen?
No, I don't think it was Rich Allen.
Rich Allen followed us a while back.
Yeah,
Rich Allen's a homie.
Rich Allen. He's actually a writer for the New Orleans Baby Cakes, which is the AAA affiliate of the Miami Marlins.
There you go. AAA? Speaking of AAA, Matt Malkin.
Matt Malkin did get called up to AAA, which was really, really exciting to see. And so September call-ups are, about a week and a half away. He has the potential to play in some meaningful baseball games in San Francisco if he gets called up.
In San Francisco? What if he comes to Denver?
No more series against the Giants
well,
at
I'm
home.
leaving.
I want to remind you guys that if you're looking for a pet, go to the Shelter first.
That didn't sound very inspirational, man. Are you sure you want people to go to the shelter?
Yeah, Adams County Shelter actually had a no fees Saturday this past weekend. And I wish I would have went.
I just got really scared. I got a notification that said that James Conner, it just said James Conner MCL injury, and I was
Ooh.
like, but he got over it.
Oh.
That's
Well.
what they were suggesting.
If you're looking for a pet, want to remind you guys to go to the shelter first. We will see you guys next week. Next Tuesday, I am a week closer to turning 21.
Wait, what should they do?
Go to the shelter first
Go to the shelter first.
and hit us up if they want a sticker.
Stickers.